Most people tolerate a lot of shit within their own life, which then stops them from getting the results that they want. I just realized that you're going to upset people. You are going to make people unhappy. You are going to have to play bigger than what you're probably playing at the moment if you want to match your dreams with your expectations, with the way you really want to live. But I just realized that I was tolerating a lot of bullshit. So that started changing the way that I approached school. And when I got kicked out of school at 15 and went back to a different school, my approach to school was I'm just going to do what I want and I'm going to enjoy it. Whereas previously I was trying to please my parents, especially my mum, and that put a lot of pressure on me, but I was tolerating that shit. Now, yes, it caused more friction in the home. It caused a lot more stress around the place. But for me, I actually started enjoying school a little bit. I had also been tolerating a lot of shitty friendships. And then when I changed school, I stopped tolerating those shitty friendships and stopped putting up with as much crap. And I think that helped me a lot as well with my friendships. And so over time, I realized that there is this tolerance threshold that we all have. Now, I've spoken before about this thermostat that we have, that when it heats up too much, the air conditioning clicks in, it cools down everything. And then when it's too cold, the thermostat clicks in place again and all of a sudden it heats up. I think that essentially almost is the same thing as a tolerance threshold, that you just get to a place where you realize that you're not going to tolerate shit anymore. But some people have a bigger tolerance threshold. Some people can just keep eating and eating and eating and they'll keep gaining weight because their tolerance threshold for their physical appearance is quite low. Some people have this financial tolerance threshold where they don't put up with a lot of shit financially and they'll keep pushing for growth. And they'll have times where they chill out and just cruise for a little bit, whereas some people just don't even have a tolerance threshold for money and they're quite happy to accept that they're probably never going to get anywhere in life in the area of finances. Some people have a tolerance threshold where they consistently put up with shit from their family. I just think a lot of people in our society are poor communicators. So when it comes to family, intimate relationships, careers, businesses, they normally put up with a lot of shit because they don't know any different, and then so they become passive aggressive. And that means that you'll put up with shit for a while until you flip out or lash out or you start undermining things because you won't just say what you need to say. If you learn how to communicate better, you don't put up with more shit, you just learn how to communicate more effectively so that other people understand you and help you on your journey in most cases. But that also depends on how volatile your family is, how much they understand certain things. The more volatile a person is and the more emotionally reactive somebody is, the more they live inside their amygdala or their flight, fight, and freeze response, the less they are going to be able to think through different ideas. So when you're intelligent, you can think through different ideas and you can question things. When you are unintelligent and you live in your amygdala and you don't have that prefrontal cortex developed too well, you will be more fundamental in your thinking. If you listen to someone like Jordan Peterson, he has such an amazing way of communicating where people will ask him questions and he'll say things like, I just don't like the way the question's formulated, or I don't necessarily agree that that is the best question to ask in order to try to find out what we're trying to find out, because he knows that questions matter. He knows that by asking certain questions, it's not as easy as giving a black and white answer, and the media and less intelligent people love black and white answers. Good things can turn bad and bad things can turn good. I mean, look at relationships. They can be a good thing until they're not, and they can turn bad. So is a relationship good or bad? It all depends. It depends. When are you asking the question? Okay, from what perspective? From whose perspective? There's just so many things that you could ask in order to try to navigate that question in so many different ways. So there are huge gray areas. Everything's not black and white. Black and white thinking is symptomology of someone who lives in the flight, fight, and freeze response and can't think effectively. And this is why very intelligent people can sort of navigate conversations where they ask a lot more questions. What are you tolerating in your life that you shouldn't? What are you tolerating in your life that you're fed up with? And then what do you need to do to progress? The best way to progress with these things is to ask very good questions. So it could be, how do I navigate the conversations that I need to have with my family? It may be, how do I navigate improving my health circumstances? What could I do? How could I do it? When do I need to start doing it? And so by asking really effective questions, it will help you navigate better results within your own life, but it will also help you to up the tolerance threshold of putting up with shit within your own life. And everybody goes through stages where you'll put up with shit, but over time, your tolerance threshold will develop. I remember the quote, what gets rewarded gets repeated. And so if you allow people to do certain things and don't bring it up with them immediately, then they'll keep doing it. And what gets punished gets avoided. So if someone doesn't rock up for work one day and they go, oh, it's just because of these reasons, and you allow them to get away with that, they are bound to repeat it. So these days, I just pull people straight up on things. Once they cross a boundary, bang, pull them up on it immediately. Don't let people get away with things because they will consistently try to push those boundaries and hold tight to those boundaries. So I had to learn how to communicate more effectively with people, but also to not fear the consequences of holding people accountable to their boundaries. Sometimes it pisses people off. But the other thing with boundaries as well is that it creates security. It creates a certainty within your life and other people's lives as well that maybe they might not have outside of work or outside of you being in their life. I hope this conversation helps in some way, shape, or form to reconsider some of the areas of life that you are tolerating a lot of shit in, and that maybe it might be time to make changes. Most people waste their life, and I just don't want you to be one of them.